Okay.
Hi, this is Anna Choi, conscious business coach with Energy TV, and it is my privilege and honor. So excited to have our very own Wendy Rose Williams. Excited to have her here. We're going to have a juicy conversation today about what is raising your vibration. And this is the channel where you can come. If you have got a story to tell that you want to tell our conscious entrepreneurs, come talk to me and you can email us below. Otherwise, let's dive right in. And Wendy, you have such a cool story. So first, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll go into the bigger discussion. What
Sure.
would you say? Like, how did you even begin the journey that you're in now? So I understand that you had a very conservative background as an MBA, doing the corporate thing, and then suddenly you're now a past life regressions hypnotherapist. Share what got you into your journey. And
Exactly. What got me on my life path, just it really ambushed me. It took me so much by surprise because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't looking for it. And in 2010, I decided to go on Match.com. I'd been divorced for 6 or 7 years, thought, okay, life is going well. The kids are old enough. Let's go meet a nice guy. And I had no idea that that would lead to me meeting someone that would introduce me to Dr. Michael Newton's journey of souls and would lead me to understanding just the concepts, taking like a duck to water to reincarnation, to past lives, to energy work, to all these things as just this explosion of a spiritual awakening that I wasn't expecting or looking for. But the minute I started reading Journey of Souls, it was like feeling the world shift. And I'd always kind of like thought, oh, that doesn't really happen. And, people are exaggerating or being dramatic to say that, the earth really moved. Well, it really did move when I read that book because I knew I had to have a session. And
with
I
Brian Weiss, the author.
also, right. And I also knew that I knew the person that I was meeting on Match. So it took us about 3 weeks to sync up schedules, which was perfect because it gave me time to read the book. And during that time, we're having phone conversations, emails. We're like, how do I know you? And we just kept playing the how do I know you game. And we met in person and it was even stronger. It's like we knew each other. And it was such a shock. I mean, it was beyond surprise. It was just such an amazing journey to realize that we had known each other in previous lifetimes, 19 of them. And I don't know anyone else that I've had that many lives with. So it just was really, life did a complete 180.
So let's like look at that a little bit deeper, right? Because maybe people come from different spiritual or religious
Of
backgrounds, may or may
course.
not believe in that. I
I know that
remember,
was a lot of woo woo. Yes.
yes, yes, no, and I remember at 16 was when my dad gave me Brian Weiss's book. Actually, it was Many Lives, Many Masters, and it was a game
Oh,
changer because I had grown up. I mean, at that point, I was still highly Christian, like super not fairly fundamentalist, yeah,
mhm.
I would say. But I love my church, and I was just open, I guess, and it was kind of irrefutable. A lot of he's a psychotherapist, and so he would do hypnotherapy with his patients, and they would be able to recall these like crazy details from like some obscure time of 1540, one of like the life of something. They would come back and not know that they knew that necessarily. He would like research and look up those those details, right? And they would match like what historically was accurate. And so it was just weird initially, right? And I mean, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know the full story of Brian Weiss, but you've studied with him. And so from there, it was just what I remember. Just this line in the back of the book. It was like so many therapists had come across this phenomenon and everybody was too scared to talk about it because it was too weird and woo woo and strange, but it was too uncanny to like deny at the same time. So it was just cause to do further research, right? And figure that out. So that was kind of the basis with which I was introduced and started looking at it. And now, to this day, yes, I, I prescribe to use that as a perspective that can help me in my day-to-day life. I I believe like everybody has their own ultimate truth. And so
Absolutely.
each to their own, and I have mine. We all have created it, and other people have the truth, right? But whatever you believe is totally welcome. And but yeah, it's like that's pretty amazing to be able to have tracked back 19 lives together. That's amazing. So how
Yes.
did you wake up, right? Because spiritually, because it's not
What
like you
what
believed
the
it or knew all this stuff.
It was the combination of those two events. I was 49. So here you had an eye opener at 16, which is just so cool. And mine didn't come until I was 49. And I'm sorry, it's got the dog next door very excited. So he's commenting. So real world, we'll just have to go with
Yeah,
that.
you can hardly hear it, so you're good.
And it was just that combination of meeting someone that I had such a deep connection with, because it was uncanny. We just finished each other's sentences. We found we had some telepathy together, all kinds of energetic
You could
experiences
read
that
each other's thoughts,
I hadn't had before. Yes, simple things like he could call me on the phone, and even with a smartphone, turned off, not vibrating, I could pick up the phone and answer it before it rang. And I can't do that with anyone else. Just all
oh,
kinds of
interesting.
oddities, dreaming the same dream the same night. I've never experienced that with anyone else. Just all kinds of
Whoa.
experiences like that. And Newton's work, same as Dr. Brian Weiss's, Dolores Cannon's, I mean, they're the kind of the big three in the US. There just was so much evidence. You bring up a really good point, Anna, because we've become a very left brain materialist scientific type world where we reward the logic. I mean, why did I get an MBA, by 22? That's where the careers were, that's where the jobs were, was to do, those sorts of professions, or to go on, to law or medical school or whatever it might be, but very left brain, very scientific. So it really was so different. And he had literally written in his match dating profile, I am most interested in meeting a woman who's on a spiritual journey, particularly one who's interested in an LBL. And I'm like, what's an LBL? I have to look this
I
up.
don't
This
know.
means nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Luckily, I found the right reference and confirmed it with him. I said, are you referring to Life Between Lives, which is a Dr. Newton 4-hour deep hypnosis session? And so that was part of what led me to the book. So that's not typical wording that you put in a dating profile, but he was looking to have his own second Life Between Lives session, because the first one a few years earlier had been so meaningful for him.
Oh,
And he
interesting.
also wrote in his profile something that he said people razzed him about all the time and told him there's no way I'd go out with you. Because he wrote, I really need to meet someone who is very communicative, a good writer, so on and so forth. And I thought that was interesting too. I'm like, are we on a job interview here? But doesn't it turn out we had been married writers together in the 1800s? So it just was all coming through why we were supposed to meet
Wow. So that
in
is
the
so
world's
fascinating.
weirdest match profile.
So wait. So okay, say distinguish hypnotherapy with like past life regression with just, there's probably
Sure.
have
Some of the
practices
language.
with it, and then some people who just throw that around, but
Sure, sure.
not like you go
Well,
backing, people get an image with
sure.
hip
Well, let's start with meditation. If we think of meditation as a way of calming our mind, it might be a lovely walking meditation in nature, or perhaps it's, lying at home and having your eyes closed for a few moments and just clearing your mind. Perhaps you're listening to a recording, or perhaps you're just, doing it on your own. Can be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. So if we kind of start there. So part of hypnotherapy, where you're working with a hypnotherapist, they're simply helping you relax, just like in meditation. So we
like in
often,
pregnancy.
yes,
If
that's another great
therapy.
example, or for some type of procedure, something like that,
Yeah.
or for labor, to just be able to relax and kind of go within, and you're just kind of marshaling your resources in a nice way, getting more calm, getting more centered. And it just, during the hypnotherapy, we use other techniques too, just to get you to relax. So you're literally getting to the point, it's just like you're going to fall asleep at night, or just like when you woke up in the morning and you're kind of half awake, half asleep. It's called the theta state. It's a natural state of consciousness. And at that point, you're suggestible in a good way. You absolutely still have your free will. This is hypnotherapy that we're talking about, not entertainment hypnosis where you're in Las Vegas and they're asking you to dance like a chicken on the stage. There's none of that going on during
hypnotism versus
right.
entertaining hypnotism, which is can be manipulative of one's own
Yes,
power,
free
versus
will.
therapy.
Yes,
You're always at your own
exactly.
free will. You can't do
Exactly.
anything. It's just about relaxing. It's pretty much the art of
Exactly. It's
relaxation.
kind of the opposite. It's kind of the opposite. And the sessions that I do, I mean, hypnotherapy, past life regression is an example of a type of hypnotherapy, because there's also hypnotherapy for weight management. There's hypnotherapy for smoking cessation and for stress management. Those would be kind of like the big three that most people be more familiar with, where it's a therapeutic type of hypnotherapy going on to help you with those specific issues. And then past life regression is a different type.
Totally different, separate. Just so we can parse it for people who might be viewing as well. So if you're in hypnotherapy for, let's say, weight loss, are they doing like mantras or something? Or like how do you relax to lose weight?
I've never had it, so I'm not going to give you good info on that. Sorry.
That's okay, but let's go to past life. So then for you, what does that look like? Like how was the experience?
How a typical session goes is I'm asking the person's higher self, their soul, their consciousness that continues on eternally to be fully in their body, and for them to just feel very loved and protected. We're working to create a sacred space, because you have to do that to be able to relax. I mean, you're working with someone that you've only met, one time via phone call before. So you have to be able to be comfortable with that person. And so we do some relaxation via breathing. We just take a couple of deep breaths together. We're calling in the person's guide so they can feel that loving wisdom around them. And again, that they've got their free will. So anything they're uncomfortable with, they can immediately stop and just speak up and say, nope, don't want to go there. That's not for me. That's too painful. Not today. However they want to express that. Maybe 2% of the time I'll hear that, and I completely respect that. And then we, back up the bus gently and work on something different. So we relax and get into our bodies, bring in our guides, create that space. And then we go to a healing temple. And it's just something the person's creating for themselves. And I ask them to call in a series of colored healing lights, which each go to a specific place on their body to heal them through all space and time. They tell me what color it is, where it went, and what they feel or experience. And then we do a couple more things in the healing temple, and that's a guided meditation. But it's very interactive. You can hear it's experiential. They're obviously actively
we might have to do a little bit.
Yeah. And then we meet their spirit guide is typically the second thing we do. We do a different guided meditation for that. And that's really neat for a lot of people, because they've wanted to feel more guidance, more wisdom, more support, but they're not sure. They're like, do I have a guide? How do I call them in? And oh my gosh, I must be doing this wrong because I listened to a guided meditation and a dog showed up. Well, no, you're not doing it wrong. That may be a wonderful guide for you, is this childhood pet that you had that you just so loved and related to. So we do that next.
Or there's
yes,
God.
An angel, an ascended,
nature, yeah.
Yes, an ascended master, an ancestor, whether or not you've ever met them. There's just many types of wonderful guides. So you just have to trust kind of your instinct and go with it. And I help the person with that, because sometimes they're blocking it. Oh, it's too weird. This can't be right. If I hear that, I just kind of, yes, you're doing it absolutely right. Just go with your first instinct and keep going. And then after we've gotten them aligned with their guide, I give them the suggestion, and we talk about this before in the first phone call, because I don't want there to be surprises. And I tell them that the suggestion is going to be to go to the time and place with the most healing and information for your life today. So they know ahead of time, and it's then, it's their free will choice. Are they going to go back to a childhood scene or something, that happened earlier in this life? Are they going to go to a more traditional past life or past lives? Or might they go to a parallel life that's happening now, simultaneous, which gets into the whole quantum physics conversation that we don't have time for? Or might they hop, skip, jump to a future life potentiality, because future's always changing. So we have that experience. And at the right point, I gently guide them to the last day of that lifetime. Make sure they feel very comfortable, no drama, no trauma. They see that they're an eternal soul. And a lot of people say, oh my gosh, that was so cool. I got to take a rest and pop out of my body. And I just didn't have to deal with having a body anymore. I'm in my pure soul form. And I help them cross over to the light. Their guide can help them. And then we get a debrief. We call in a greeter or a guide when we've crossed over. And that guide tells us, I ask them, did we miss anything? Did we understand everything we saw in the past life? Did we get everything in the healing temple? So they're this neat check and balance because we've raised our vibration because it's later in the session. And they're this neat check and balance. But again, they're all speaking through the client. It's just me facilitating their own wisdom. I'm not giving a psychic reading saying, you used to be Cleopatra's third maid. That's not what's
You
going
ask the
on.
question and they answer.
Exactly. I ask open-ended questions based on the 20 questions, up to 20 questions that the person submits to me ahead of time. So I'm simply helping them access their own higher self, their own subconscious. If you want to put it in psychology terms, it's their own subconscious. So bringing out that lovely intuition that we so want and need in business and in our everyday life, we're just learning how to tap into that without having the left brain get in and go, that's wrong, you're making it up. All those like little scared objections that the left brain makes. So we're up there with, go ahead.
So can people access that on their own?
They can. Experienced meditators can learn how to do that. And typically, people that have had a session or two can get good at doing that. But it's like anything else, there's a learning curve. If you'd asked me to lay down and meditate before I had my first past life regression, my answer would have been an abrupt, I don't have time, forget it. Busy single working mom, no way would have been my answer. And I had been told for years I needed to learn how to meditate. And finally, a girlfriend just found this quick, it was like an hour and a half once a week for 3 weeks. It was like 10 minutes from my house. And she said, let's go to this meditation center together and learn how to meditate. And it was just a game changer. Wow. So again, back to that one more point about being there with the light at the end of the session. Yeah. So we then go to a place of all knowledge. We get the answers to the person's questions that weren't already organically answered. And then we close out the session. We just give thanks to everyone. I make sure that they've got the connection with the guide. They know how to do the healing temple. I make sure that they know energy management, like grounding and clearing their energy and raising their vibration. They know how to do it all. Because it's either a 2.5 hour or a 4-hour session. So that may sound long, but we're like packing in a lot of good things. And it's the person's own pace because we're working one-on-one. They might spend 5 minutes in the healing temple. They might spend an hour there. So those things just impact, there's how the scheduling goes. There's no set schedule.
Is there that healing temple meditation, is that a resource or something that you'd be willing to put a link below our description here today? Or
I do it live, honestly. I don't have a link to it. It's just, it works best interactively with someone.
Okay. Do you mind doing it here with us?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Okay. So let's do that in a moment. Maybe we'll end on that.
Sure.
But let's first look at, so the major differences. So the whole title of this talk is how to raise your vibration. And there's people who just get that phraseology, others may not, but let's just look for a moment what that even means.
Absolutely.
So like in layman's terms, how would you describe?
Sure. Well, I see the dimensions as being levels of consciousness, and I see them as vibrating at different rates. So, for instance, my belief is Earth was at 3D, and she's raised her vibration to 5D. And we've been going through a lot of changes. So that's kind of, Earth waking up and shaking it off
So by
with
3D, you mean the three dimensions, right?
it's not
Oh,
height, length. It's a speed, it's a vibration, it's a level of
oh, I
consciousness.
did
So
not know that.
5D
Like
is it's
literal energy
faster.
frequency.
Energy frequency, 7D's faster than 5, 12D's faster than, it's just as the
What does the
numbers
D
go up.
stand for?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
the D stand
D's
for
for
something?
dimension. D's for
Oh, okay.
dimension,
So it is three
level.
dimension, but it's referring to a measure of energy frequency as opposed to the 3D that we know.
Right. It's not it's not your desk, the width, the length, and the height of the desk. It's not that 3D.
Ah, okay. I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for calling that out.
I mean, I just
That's
knew it was more dense,
right,
3D
right,
level, but
right.
that so 5D literally is just like higher frequency,
Yes,
a literal
yes,
higher
exactly.
energy frequency. Okay.
Exactly. I'm so glad you peeled that onion so well, Anna. Thank you. So just some quick examples to make it real for people. So in 3D consciousness versus 5D, 3D we're like real ego based, and 5D we're starting to go, oh my gosh, what if I could be a soul? What if I could be eternal? I mean, that's a huge, huge shift. In 3D, there's a lot of separation. There's a lot of us versus them. There's all these distinctions around race and culture and all that tough stuff we've been going through resetting right now.
Yeah.
Whereas in 5D, there's much more of a unity consciousness where there's one race, it's the human race. It's just that simple, which is a big difference again. And 3D versus 5D, 3D, it's conditional love. Well, I love these certain people, or I love you if you do this, if, hello, conditional. Whereas 5D, it's our hearts have opened. I mean, you can literally feel like your heart is just bursting. It was actually a little bit physically uncomfortable for me when I was moving to 5D because I could feel my collarbones, like they felt like they were creaking and cracking a little bit, like my heart was getting bigger. It's nothing physical. It's not run to your cardiologist, but I could physically feel it. And then it's just this unconditional love starts to come in, and I would be like weeping and sobbing with joy. I love everyone. I love everything. It's like when I was pregnant and would see like a Pepsi commercial with puppies, sobbing ensued. It would really just touch my heart so much. And in 3D, there's this victim mentality of, oh, I have this bad karma. Oh, all these terrible things happen to me all the time. It's that sort of mentality. Whereas in 5D, you've started to mature and you're in this place where, gosh, I need to own this. How am I creating this or co-creating this? Why have I had 3 boyfriends or husbands in a row who have cheated on me and broken my heart? Well, it's time to look at the common denominator. If that's happened to you 3 times in a row, how are you a part of that? So there's some self-worth, there's some self-esteem issues going on there, most likely. Other things, 3D, it's very logical. We just love that left brain. And in 5D, we're still using it. It's not like we're throwing it out the window. I mean, we need our left brain, speech, movement, so many things, but we're intuitive and we're willing to accept the crazy little intuitive things that happen. And good business leaders are very intuitive and willing to do those wild things because they're like, I just felt it in my gut, or I just felt it in my heart, wherever it shows up for them, and they're willing to move on that. And in 3D, you've got the mind ruling, and the mind's a terrible master. The mind's a wonderful instrument, it's a wonderful tool. It is not meant to be the master. The heart is, the soul is. So that's that difference with 5D. So those are some of the main differences. And then the final one would be that scarcity mindset in 3D. oh my gosh, I'm not willing to share this freely or give this away because you're competing and you're just not seeing that you can just give from that place of abundance and have more return to you. So you're just not willing to do that. In 5D, it's this very abundant place of just being willing to, freely give and just expecting that things are going to really be for our highest good. Doesn't mean everything's easy. Doesn't mean you enjoy that layoff that you weren't expecting or didn't want, but you're able to calmly look at, why is this happening? And, what are the opportunities around it?
So great. There's so much there.
Did that make it more real?
It
Less
totally
woo-woo?
did. And one of the things I deal with business clients so much is making the shift. I call it sometimes mindset, or just in prioritizing in their heart, being able to trust, like, especially with business referral groups where you have like non-competing seats and so forth. And I've always been a proponent for if you have a bunch of people, like, I'm a business coach, so each business coach is going to offer something very different. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't really matter to like have captive, worry about competing, because sometimes they're my best collaborators because we're the same, but we're different, right? And we all, even if we're doing the exact same thing, our personalities are so different.
Exactly.
Yield a different experience. Like,
you've just got different filters, and you, like you said, different personality. You've got different souls.
But you have to go into 5D to be able to face the fear of the competitor, if that makes sense, to even discover that they're actually your greatest collaborator.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing, So even, I mean, I have different business coaches, but anyway, it's just interesting.
No, you're right on. And I think it's also just that maturity of realizing that difficult divorce, or that quote horrible job, or that serious car accident, or having a bout with cancer, or whatever it might have been, to just be able to find the way to grow through it, not just go through it, and to just move into more joy and gratitude, because there's definitely techniques to raise your vibration. And you're now going to, you may find this, my list kind of funny because they sound so simple, but to, really truly do a few of them or one of them every day, whether it's to meditate, whether it's to find a way to appreciate or be in gratitude for whatever, to, be able to give and help others, and expect that, you're going to receive the same, but just not, you don't need to score keep. It's not tit for tat. Being able to turn off the news, if not turn off the television completely. There's so many studies proving that if you have either anxiety or depression, stop watching the news. It's called programming for a reason. And it just really drives people down, 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 down. I turned off the news when I was pregnant. So when I was 34, and I could still have an intelligent conversation. I look for information versus allowing news programming to be jam-jobbed at me. And there's a big difference. So, and that's what I need. It's not right for everybody, but that's what's right for me. Being in nature absolutely raises our vibration. And honestly, I would have kind of made fun of people and said, oh, I'm not a hippie. I don't go around hugging trees. But touching a tree, standing with your back to it, sitting at the base of a tree and putting, your back against it, or literally hugging it, it's so grounding for us. And it just really connects us, and it can clear out pain and discomfort in our body. That's how I've cleared a lot of my physical pain. I've just asked the trees. Once a friend taught me that technique, and she said, just ask the trees permission. Can it take it and, just dissipate it and get rid of it for you? Stretching, moving, whether it's yoga, even if you do bad yoga, it doesn't matter. Do it at home alone. No one has to see you. It's not meant to be a competitive sport, but yoga is one of those things. It's interesting. It can turn into like a ego-based competitive
3D
sport. Yep, exactly. Detoxing your body, whether it's just drinking plenty of water, getting good supplements, whether it's moving toward a more plant-based diet, perhaps. I never thought I would do that. I was like, no, no, no. I love meat and potatoes. And well, guess what? Over time, meat and potatoes didn't love me. So I did move to a much more plant-based, and now I'm actually growing some of my own stuff, which I didn't think I would do. And I just do indoor hydroponic, use an aero garden, and it's the best salads I've ever had. So of course it makes me want to, eat more of them. So those plants as food medicine can really help raise our vibration. Also, just breathing consciously. Obviously, breathing is unconscious. We breathe so many times, but we don't really take a breath of life. So just being able to do that, and then that sets us up for good relaxation, good sleep, and being able to wake up feeling rested. And how hard is that? If you're a working parent, you've got small kids at home, it is so hard, to get good rest because you're pulled so many ways. And walking barefoot is another one. If there's somewhere that you can safely stand in the grass, stand on the sand, etc. But that's kind of my list of raising your vibration. And that allows your higher self to come fully in your body. It allows your Kundalini life force energy to start to rise. It allows you to balance up your karma, if you have any karma, because karma, it's not punishment, it's just a teaching tool, but it helps you learn the lessons. You can figure it out during meditation or by working with a healer. And those are the steps to help you really raise your vibration. So I thought I was shaking to death back in 2013 when I rose my vibration very quickly. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what ascension symptoms were. And I did find a list. Someone gave me a list of ascension symptoms. I had 96 of the 100 symptoms. So it was rugged. But I'm glad it happened, and I know how to teach it because I went through it in such a profound way, and I love helping people with it, help it be more gentle for them.
Awesome. Do you have the list of how to raise your consciousness somewhere in a book, or what's the best way people can get a hold of you? Or
I could certainly type a list and create it. I won't put it here in the chat because I know that'll disappear. I can create something and send it to you, certainly, for, people might want it on the YouTube channel.
Or if you have something, I'm thinking we may not have time for that meditation now, which is okay. But you have, I think, past talks, right, that people can listen to learn more.
Yes, they're all on my website. There's over 40
perfect
talks and interviews there.
What a wonderful resource and tools then people can use. So why don't we definitely put your website link below, and then you guys can go to the resource library and listen to the meditations and other recordings that are available. Maybe just if there's 40, maybe just pick out the one that has that temple meditation would be great.
Perfect. And then I will look for one.
Yeah. And then if there's the list of the 5 if you have that in a talk, you can also just,
sure,
shared it before. Or people
absolutely
listen to this again, right? Awesome. So is that any other actions, or what's the best way people can engage with you or learn more about you?
Sure. The best way is to go to my website, which is my name, wendyrosewilliams.com. And you're welcome to request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment via that website. So that's the best way to reach me. And also people can go on Amazon and look in particular for my first book, Regression Healing 1, because it's actually all the transcript from a past life regression that I did with that soulmate that woke me up. So he kindly gave me permission and, changed his name and just went from there. But it was just great to be able to share that because he's not someone that meditates or easily connects. So it's good for someone to do a session that's kind of hard.
Oh, interesting. So, there's so many undercover in the closet, like spiritual people, like they can't explain some phenomenon, like they've got some weird door that always shuts, or, like one person, she's like so not spiritual at all, but she has these phenomena happen that
there can be
all embarrassed to talk about, but it's like she can't not escape it.
There's all kinds of phenomena. There's signs and synchronicities. I mean, some people have a lot of trouble with electronics and their, light bulbs blow out around them, or the computer or TV just stops working. my kids would they would just despair and say, Mom, hand me the remote, for the TV. And they would take it and it would work perfectly. And it's not like I didn't know how to do it, but in my hands, it did not want to work.
Yeah.
Which is something it happens a lot with NDEers, with people who've had near-death experiences. It's like our system's a little bit different. We've been a little bit off planet more than most.
Do you have that list of the ascension things that you?
I can look for one, certainly. Yeah, I haven't looked for one of those in years, and this is a time when people have really been going within because they've been at home. We've been on such a pause. And for some people, it's been super rough, just working from home with small children or sequestered with family of origin, or there's just been people have gotten, caught. Like I had one friend got stuck over in Europe for 3 months, and where she lives in Texas and was stuck over there. And,
Wow.
just whereas for other people, it's been this beautiful, like, wow, I've never had so much time, and I can, meditate, and I can take up a practice, and I'm doing yoga. It's been very different for people, but it's definitely been the chance to go within, because we've been kind of in this timeout that Earth gave us. Go to your rooms, Mother Earth speaking. So
yes, no, I've enjoyed it. It's been a chrysalis, but a cocoon and a place to rejuvenate. So I really enjoyed it.
I think a lot of people have learned that they actually don't need to commute for their job, because many of us were told, if we weren't self-employed and we were working for an employer, we were told, no, that's not possible. But boy, it had to become possible with companies just scrambling to reinvent themselves and put in the technology for people to be able to work from home. And I've spoken with multiple friends who've said, I'm so happy my employer has now approved me for full-time work from home going forward.
Wow.
So they're not going to, and it allows the employers to not have to have so much rental space and such expenses, from renting such big buildings. And
I always joke because my husband works at Nordstrom, which it's not really a tech company, it's a retail company, and they operated old school. Yeah. So this forced them to become like a tech company, which already does the remote thing. Yeah. And because they did that infrastructure for so long and realized things worked just as well, my husband, who every day has a 4-hour commute into Seattle there and back on the ferry he takes to Seattle from Poulsbo, has been home every day. And
that's like gaining half your day back.
Isn't that crazy to think about? But they're gonna stick with it. The bottom line is like, he was like, wow. I can't go back to the daily commute. He stayed home 1 day a week. Yeah. So now we want to negotiate no matter what. Like worst case scenario, we're hoping just 1 day in, it'll flip. Yeah. But even that, we're hoping for 5 days totally at home. So we'll see. But
exactly,
it's highly likely for them, and that's a really old giant corporation that
wasn't
going to move, and it took a global pandemic. So.
And I do see the benefit of the face-to-face. I mean, that's why Zoom has just exploded. It's not exactly the same, but it helps. It's closer than phone to phone only. It's just having that face-to-face, bit of a connection. And like you said, that 1 day in the office where people can really do the teamwork in the group, and they're just going to be so efficient.
Yeah. So thank you so much. This has been so delightful. You've shared and shed so much. I could just feel the power and the energy of what you're sharing behind what you've said. And it's been a true pleasure. Thank you so much. And we'll put all those resources below. So you can just email that and I'll get that into the description right away. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate getting to be here, and just want to extend blessings and just everyone to just, do so well, because you move into that 5D and it's that place of peace and love and joy. And it makes life so much more wonderful. It's just a big shift.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much. Okay. All right. Bye.